The light you're looking at right now left its source before the Earth existed, and the thing that sent it has already been dead for longer than life has been alive. Its name is TON 618, and in science headlines, it is a trophy, the biggest black hole we've ever found, 66 billion solar masses. That's 66 billion of our suns compressed into a single object. A black hole so actively consuming matter that it once outshone every star in an entire galaxy combined. Astronomers call that a quasar. Science communicators call it a record, the universe's heavyweight champion, a maximum, a peak, something that achieved something. Here's a way to feel its size. If you replaced our sun with TON 618, its event horizon, the point of no return, the edge of the drain, would reach past the orbit of Neptune. Not Earth, not Mars, Neptune. The entire inner solar system, everything from Mercury to Saturn, would be inside it. That is the kind of number science communicators put in headlines. That is the framing. That is the beauty mask. But here's what nobody puts in the headline. TON 618 stopped. It just stopped, and we have no idea what made it. To understand why that's strange, and therein lies the problem because it is deeply strange, you have to understand what a quasar actually is. A quasar is not a permanent feature of a black hole. It's a phase, a feeding episode, a temporary burst of violent activity that occurs when a black hole is actively pulling in surrounding matter, heating it to hundreds of millions of degrees as it spirals inward, and releasing enough energy in the process to outshine entire galaxies. These episodes have a lifespan, somewhere between 100,000 and 1,000,000 years. TON 618's light is 10.8 billion years old. The universe was less than a quarter of its current age when those photons began their journey. Even by the most generous estimate, the probability that TON 618 is still actively feeding right now is essentially zero. We called it the biggest thing in the universe. It almost certainly stopped being that thing before our planet formed. So what we labeled a record isn't a record. It's an epitaph. And this is where it gets strange. Not strange in the way that big numbers are strange. Strange in the way that something that simply shouldn't exist does. Working backwards from TON 618's mass, we can calculate what it would have taken to get there. To reach 66 billion solar masses, it had to swallow a sun-sized mass every 45 days for over 2 billion years, without stopping. 2 billion years is roughly the age of the oldest rocks on Earth's surface. It consumed a star's worth of material every 6 weeks for longer than our planet's oldest geology has existed. And this doesn't happen once or twice. It doesn't happen in short bursts. It happens continuously, relentlessly, without pause. A sun every 6 weeks for 2 billion years. And then it stopped. Here's the explanation scientists reach for first. Feedback. The idea is that the black hole's own radiation, the energy it releases while feeding, eventually becomes so intense that it blows away the surrounding gas, clearing its own pantry, cutting off its own fuel supply. The fire chokes itself out. Clean mechanism, satisfying logic. Except the galaxy around TON 618 is still full of gas. Across the universe, most supermassive black holes are sitting dormant inside galaxies that still contain enough raw material to feed them for billions of years. The fuel didn't run out, the hunger did. We don't fully know why. We have categories of explanation, feedback models, disk instabilities, starvation timelines, and none of them fully accounts for what we actually see. It's not like a fire that ran out of wood. The wood is still there, the fire just went out. Why? But when you zoom out, When you stop asking why TON 618 stopped and start asking how many others stopped, the question changes shape entirely. Here's what we assumed. TON 618 went quiet, and we can tell it went quiet because we see nothing. No radiation, no accretion signature, no output. Silence means dormant. But there's a problem with that logic, and it runs deep. From 10.8 billion light-years away, a dead black hole and a hiding black hole look completely identical. Up to 27% of black holes in the local universe are wrapped in their own ejected dust. Dust so dense that no X-ray can penetrate it. The field has a name for these, Compton-thick AGN. They are not sleeping, they are concealed. And the honest position is that we cannot take a full census of which category any given dormant black hole falls into, because silence and concealment produce the exact same observational signature. We built our entire picture of cosmic history, galaxy formation rates, star birth timelines, dark matter distribution, on account of which black holes were active. And we simply don't know if we were counting the right ones. And as if that weren't enough, this isn't even a TON 618 problem. Virtually every massive galaxy we've checked has one of these silent engines at its center. Every one. The Milky Way has one. Sagittarius A star, 4 million solar masses, sitting 26,000 light-years from where you're sitting right now, doing nothing. TON 618 is not the strange exception to a rule. It is the rule, scaled up. All of them went quiet. And this is not an opinion. That's physics. Every large galaxy, every classical bulge, same story, same silence. But the surface of this pattern is just the beginning. Because here's where it stops being a coincidence and starts being something else entirely. There is a mass threshold, a wall, a ceiling, above roughly 50 billion solar masses where black holes almost never go. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Everything in it has had that entire time to grow, and nothing we've found has grown significantly past that line. TON 618, at 40 to 66 billion solar masses, is sitting right against it. How? And this is not just a measurement oddity, presumably some artifact of limited data. Researchers checked the mass ceiling across billions of years of observations, early universe, middle epochs, the modern era, and found it unchanged. A quasar that shut off 12 billion years ago hit the same wall as one that shut off 3 billion years ago. The cutoff doesn't drift. It doesn't evolve with an expanding universe. It is synchronized, the same number, the same place, across the entire observable history of the cosmos. 3 completely different physical theories, developed independently using completely different mathematics, all predict this same ceiling. None of them can explain the other 2. The wall is real. We just don't know what it's made of. The most cited mathematical derivation of this ceiling was published in 2016. In the years since, no observation has moved the number. The wall hasn't budged. We've just kept finding things pressed against it. Why does the universe have a ceiling? Why does that ceiling sit exactly where it does? And why? This is the part that defies reason. Why does it sit exactly where it needs to for us to be here asking? But there is something else. Something the physics papers mention quietly, if they mention it at all. The 3 teams that found this ceiling did not coordinate. One derived the mass limit from the way accretion disks fragment under their own gravity. Another arrived at it from the physics of gas converting into stars before it can fall into the black hole, consuming the fuel before the fuel can be consumed. A third found the same number from the behavior of galactic winds. Different equations, different assumptions, different starting points. the same answer. That kind of convergence in physics usually means you found something fundamental, something real. The question is, what exactly is real here? We presumably know the ceiling exists. TON 618 is pressed against it. We simply don't know why. And what makes this an epistemological problem rather than just a physics problem is that the three theories are not compatible with each other. They make nearly identical mass predictions and are otherwise in contradiction. Current data cannot distinguish between them. We have three contradictory guesses for why the largest known structure in the universe was stopped, and somehow each guess seems equally plausible. And then there's the timing. Around 10 billion years ago, the universe hit a simultaneous peak. Quasars were brightest, black holes were growing fastest, and new stars were being born at the highest rate in cosmic history. And then everything wound down, together. The timing of that coordinated shutdown is precisely when the universe was making the oxygen, carbon, and iron that rocky planets are built from. The engines ran at maximum during exactly the window that seeded the conditions for chemistry. Then, they all went quiet. That timing isn't something any current theory predicts from first principles. It's something we noticed, and once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. Andrew King, the physicist whose 2016 paper is the most cited derivation of the mass ceiling, wrote this sentence in the paper itself. The mass and luminosity limits both rely on a reasonable but currently untestable hypothesis about AGN disk formation. Read that again. The wall is real. TON 618 is pressed against it. But the reason the wall exists where it does cannot be verified by any observation currently available to us. The largest known structure in the observable universe was stopped by something we can see the effects of, but cannot look at directly. We are in the position of knowing a rule exists, seeing every massive black hole in the observable history of the cosmos obey it, and being unable to examine the rule itself. We can see what it does. We cannot see what it is. We can describe the ceiling from 100 different angles. We cannot stand beneath it and look up. TON 618 stopped growing. Not because it ran out of fuel. The fuel is still there. Not because something destroyed it. Nothing we know of could. It stopped because it hit a ceiling the entire universe seems to have agreed on, for reasons that three separate branches of physics cannot reconcile, at a moment that happened to leave behind the conditions for stars and planets and the kind of chemistry that eventually asks questions about black holes. TON 618 stopped growing. The universe made something capable of ending everything, and then something made it stop. We call that quasar quenching. We don't know if we should call it lucky. We don't know if luck is even the right word for a process that had to happen for the word to exist at all.